This is
So
probably a question before I hit record or edit. And so
sure.
I mean, I'm at the stage at the moment where I am like no one really. I mean, I've got a nice subscriber count on YouTube. But how did you start building it up?
So I'm going to be completely honest. I uh I like to keep it 100, okay, Scott? So I am 100% real with people. I don't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
I don't tell little lies. I started MSP Webinars, I'm going to say as a joke, okay? So
Okay.
hear me out. Hear me out. So I have a Zoom room, very much like the one that you and I are in. Right now, there are about 12 guys in it. They're all IT guys, and they're all talking shop, okay?
Okay.
So all day, every day, we have IT guys in this Zoom room and we're talking shop. Well, I've had this Zoom room for over 2 years now, possibly almost 3. It's been a long time.
Okay.
And back when I was in a pretty successful and popular Facebook group at the time, I would start inviting people to this Zoom room, and we would just talk shop. And it was nice to be able to have like a face-to-face conversation with these guys.
Yeah.
And it was also really nice because a lot of us were sole proprietors. So it's really really boring when you're sitting at home or even in an office you're renting,
Yeah.
working by yourself. And
Okay.
it almost gets depressing. Um, it's frustrating when you're trying to help a client with something and maybe it's not something that you feel like an expert in, and you wouldn't mind bouncing some ideas off some colleagues that maybe know better than you in particular areas of technical support type stuff. So that's kind of what it started off as, was, let's just get a group of guys, let's talk shop, let's have water cooler time too, and
Yeah.
shoot the shit.
Okay.
Um,
And
and then it turned into some guys on it's Discord, so it's like Slack, but it's Discord. So
okay.
there are
Yeah.
some guys on Discord that would poke fun at me for being in this Zoom room all the time. They'd be like, "Oh, why aren't you out selling?" Well,
Yeah.
because
Totally.
don't worry about me. So then just out of spite, because they would say, "Oh, you guys aren't even doing anything um, important or beneficial to your business." So then out of spite, I would just say, "Hey, in 15 minutes, we're going to talk about Office 365. Come join my
Yeah.
Zoom room."
Okay.
And then after a few weeks of that, it was, "Steve, come on, man. Like, if you are serious and you want us to come talk about Office 365, don't just say, let's do it in 15 minutes. Schedule it."
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So then I started scheduling these little powwows, and people were showing up, and then I started inviting vendors to come and talk at these little powwows,
Okay.
and it just kind of evolved. So for probably the first 6 months, it was just I was still operating my MSP full time, and it was me evolving into running these webinars
Mhm.
and just having fun with it as I went. And I'm still having fun with it now, but it has evolved into like a full-fledged business. In fact, my MSP is on autopilot. I have trimmed it down. I've got under 50 endpoints. I've got about 48 endpoints that I'm managing.
Mhm.
Um, my my margin on those endpoints is about 87% over the last 12 months.
Okay.
They're just clients that I really enjoy working with, and I take care of them, they take care of me, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's really low traffic, if you will. They don't call me very much unless something's actually wrong.
Oh wow, that
So
sounds really
I
nice
don't mind.
to have, Steve.
Well, hey, there's only 48 or so endpoints. So I mean,
What type of industry is that? A funeral home or something?
so let's see. One is an interior design firm.
Okay.
One is, I don't even know. Like, I guess you could call them a distributor / wholesaler.
Mhm.
Um, there's a construction company. I mean, I don't really focus on any particular
Yeah.
verticals. Just I got a law firm.
Are, are,
So
Are they local?
Yes, they're all local to me. They're
Okay.
all within an hour drive.
Okay. Cool.
They're all actually, for the most part, really close to where my office was. I
Uh-huh.
even closed out my office. I work from home now. I'm in my living room. You can't tell because I
Nice.
strategically positioned my desk. But but
Well, hey, I'm in my kitchen at the moment. There's a baby chair over there.
oh,
So
nice. So yeah, I mean, you know, I've set it up so that way my MSP runs really lean, very low overhead. I'm using Kaseya as my RMM. I'm not even using a PSA. I
Okay.
get maybe 5 tickets a month. I don't even care about a ticketing system.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
just, you know, they'll call me, I'll take care of the issue. You know, it's all you can eat for most of them anyway. A couple,
Yeah.
you know, two of them are as needed. So those guys, I'm using WHMCS to automate all of my billing and automate processing credit cards for 100% of my clients.
Okay. That's not
And
one I'm familiar with. I'm assuming that's like a US based one. If it's
WHMCS is worldwide and it is designed for web hosting.
oh,
So
okay.
I've kind of hacked it a little bit and figured out how to make it work for what I need it to do, which essentially all I'm doing with it is automated invoices every month.
I see.
So there's no like, I mean, there's a customer login. They can go in there and they can, you know, view their invoices and pay them and that kind of thing. But we're not using the support module or anything like that. It's literally just a payment portal that I'm using it for.
Okay. All right, Steve. One of the things with these interviews that I do is I really like to pull out stories. You've just told me a really good story. Now I don't have to repeat it. So I'm wondering if we can just maybe start the edit now. So I'll just do the intro now, but I'll include from when I asked, how did you build it up? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. Well, hi folks. Welcome to IT Rockstars. My name is Scott Miller. On today's show, I have Steve Taylor of the Taylor IT Group. He is also world famous for MSP Webinars. This show is sponsored by BearAttack SEO for managed service providers. If you're looking to generate more qualified leads for your MSP, or maybe you're just an IT business owner looking to generate MSP leads, then check out BearAttack SEO. We'll speak a little bit more about that later in the show. Anyway, welcome to the show, Steve. We've already talked, but I thought I'd do the intro anyway. On that point of, we've talked about building up, from nothing to what you have today in MSP Webinars. What was it like, going from servicing, you still are servicing, your customers to servicing the MSP channel? Is that been a difficult progression for you? Migration even, word I would use, or is it enjoyable?
It is. It's incredibly enjoyable, but I'll say it's been a difficult transition for me because with my clients, with my MSP,
Mm-hmm.
I am very much myself. Not that I'm not myself with MSP webinars. I'll get to that in a minute, okay?
Okay.
I don't really worry about my presentation as an MSP business owner. I show up in my polo and my slacks. I do my job. I'm friendly with my clients, but not inappropriate, obviously. I consider them all like professional friends, if you will. I don't do business with people I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
With MSP webinars, it's different because now I'm working with sometimes business owners for very large vendors, like I've worked with SolarWinds and Autotasks and the list goes on. If you look at my webinar list, you see I've got over 80 now, I think, and a lot of those have vendors in them. And so it's been really different going from working with the small business where it's 50 or fewer employees, not a lot of politics or bureaucrat like stuff,
Yes.
to now I'm working with huge enterprise type organizations and trying to cut past that red tape.
Okay.
I'm also
Do you find
learning
that things move slower because you're working with larger companies like that?
sometimes.
Okay.
It's interesting because I find that depending on the company, things might even move quicker because they're really excited to, let's just make this happen. I'm like, well, we've got a process. Slow down.
Yeah.
Other times they're like, okay, sure, we'll consider it. And 3 months later, hey, did you still want to do that webinar? Like,
Okay.
so it really depends on the company.
Mm-hmm.
It's also been interesting because I'm not used to working with international companies. You said I'm world famous. I still, I don't think of myself as famous. I'm just an everyday guy, right? But
I was
working
just trying
with
to make you smile, Steve. That's all.
that. Well, but it's true though, because I remember I went to Autotask Community Live last year, and I had people like, "Hey, Steve, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Who are you?" And so that's one of the struggles is I am trying to learn like how to I don't know how to approach that better. Like, I have no idea who you are, but I'm going to pretend I do type of scenario.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I like I said earlier, I like to keep it 100. I don't like to be disingenuous,
Okay.
So if I don't know who someone is, or if I don't remember a name, I'm like, hey, so I'll be honest, I don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell that sometimes they're like, oh, like,
Yeah.
look, I go to every one of your webinars. I'm like, oh, well, I don't see you.
the guys with the videos off, yeah.
Yeah. So, or what's also interesting is when I'm working with companies that are international.
Mm-hmm.
So, Scott, you're located where?
I'm up in Scotland, so UK.
Okay. I knew it was UK, but I didn't think it was like near London because it's not the right accent.
No, it's Aberdeen, Scotland, so it's like right
Okay.
up almost.
Yes. So, there's almost a language barrier because even though you and I are both speaking English,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I have to sit and think like, okay, wait, what did he just say? And I feel bad, but I'm just not used to, what I think is your accent. You think you're just talking like a normal person, but or the guys that are over in Australia, it's like 14 hours later for them than it is for me. It's 4 a.m. right now for the guys that I was working with in Australia. So I also need to keep that in mind. Like, not only do I have to worry about the occasional language barrier, even though we're all speaking English, but I have to remember, okay, so you're in Scotland, so it's what, 7:30 in the evening for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm starting to learn where all these time zones are at, which I think is also crazy.
Australia is a difficult one. I interviewed Nigel Moore from the Tech Tribe a couple of weeks ago, and I had to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to interview him, and he was just finishing for the day. So it's just that weird time zone.
It's crazy.
US UK is a little bit more manageable. Okay, here's a question for you, Steve. Then Taylor IT Group. You say is it just yourself at Taylor IT Group?
It is.
Okay, so can you tell me one time you've had a real difficulty in your business at Taylor IT Group?
A real difficulty in my business was actually 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just trying to think. So it was more like a year and a half. Like all of last year was rough. Okay, how's that?
Okay.
So a year and a half ago, I lost my largest client.
Okay.
So if we're going to talk difficulty, let's talk difficulty, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I couldn't fix something. It's because I lost a client. I lost 1,600 monthly recurring revenue, and that was my largest client.
How many users? 1,600.
16 users.
Oh, 16 users. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
$100 a desktop.
So my MSP was never like some huge multi-million dollar MSP. Yeah. I always kept it at something that was very manageable for one person because I don't want to deal with employees. I don't like people that have to work for me and
yeah, that's more hassle.
I don't want to deal with any of that. So I always kept it manageable for me.
Okay.
So when I lost that client, that kind of put me in a real big funk, because what happened was the owner of that client, who was my client for like 6 or 7 years, passed away.
Oh.
And that was, it was sad. I wasn't like super close with him, but it impacted me personally. Mm-hmm. And his son took over, and his son brought in his own MSP. And I was really bitter because they took out my Datto BDR appliance, mm-hmm. and they replaced it with Carbonite.
Okay.
It just hurts to talk about. They got rid of my, what was I using at the time? Autotask Endpoint Manager. They replaced it with LogMeIn.
Okay.
Like it's not even an MSP. He replaced it with a few guys in an IT company that can figure out how to make some things work just enough that if something truly catastrophic happened, they can maybe string you along for a few weeks.
So,
and it was a funeral home with 4 locations, and it was one of the largest in the northeastern Ohio area. And I don't think they're doing so hot these days because they had some big technological issues.
Oh, well, I guess my question then is, from that experience, Steve, it's obviously just, it's nothing, I would assume it's got nothing to do with the service that you were providing them. It's just the changes in circumstances with the business.
Yeah.
What's the lesson you've learned from that experience?
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
If you have one client that is generating 40% or more of your revenue, mm-hmm. and it's going to really hurt to lose that revenue, you need to make some changes. And that means go out and get some more clients, so that way losing one client doesn't hurt so much. And because of that put me in like a tailspin. I actually lost another client later last year. I think it was a combination of things. The biggest thing was they were 4.5 hours away from me, and they just wanted to work with somebody closer. I can't fault them for that. And they're actually spending like twice as much, if not more, than they were with me. So mm-hmm. money wasn't the issue. But I truly believe that I was probably not as effective as I once was, probably because of how losing that big client impacted me. Because, like losing a lot of your money, that can put somebody in a state of depression or bitterness or angst or whatever, whatever emotion you want to say. You're not happy.
Yeah, it certainly can. So do you think, from that, from what's happened, do you think that's accelerated the growth of MSP webinars?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the interesting thing is, with my MSP, I was never really like in love with what I was doing. I was always in love with playing with the fun new shiny objects. So whether that meant, getting my new iPhone XS or switching from one RMM to another or one PSA to another, I like to play with new toys.
Yeah.
So I never really focused on selling like I should have. I focused on how can I switch from this to that and operate more efficiently. So I was always trying to figure out how to automate as much as I possibly could in my business, mm-hmm. Even the sales, because if I don't have to go out and sell it, if it just sells itself, then I'm doing something right.
So did you manage to automate the sales?
Not with MSP now. With MSP webinars, yes. Okay. So I think ultimately, I've been an IT professional since 2002. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I had an MSP for a few years and now I'm some self-proclaimed expert. I do not tell people I'm an expert. I tell people I will put you in touch with the experts. I am here to help you run a more successful MSP. Okay. That doesn't mean I'm going to tell you how to take your sales from here to here That just means I'm going to help you run a more successful MSP.
So do you have any tips or practical advice that you could give our audience today where, where they can, today take away something where they'd be able to generate more sales from their existing customer base, or put in a product or service that you're aware of that would help generate them more business off the top of
I
your
have a
head?
few tips, yes.
Yeah.
First of all,
what's working now, or what's the most important one?
so first of all, don't distract yourself. Your own time is your most valuable asset. And by distracting yourself from what truly needs to be done, you're wasting that valuable asset, which is your time, right?
Okay.
So distracting yourself could be switching an RMM or a PSA. Distracting yourself could be anything. Okay, don't distract yourself.
So how do you? I mean, you mentioned at the start of the show that you've got ADD and you look for squirrels.
There's that language barrier again.
Okay. So I'll repeat that question then. So you mentioned at the start of the show that you have ADD and that you look for squirrels. How do you stop yourself from being distracted?
Checklists.
Okay.
And utilizing my calendar and sticking to it. The more I book in my calendar, the more I'm going to adhere to it. If I know I need to spend 30 minutes working in my accounting package, I need to schedule it in my calendar, or else it's just going to be, I can do it later. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to watch 3 more YouTube videos right now.
Okay. I know how that goes.
So yeah, you have to make checklists, and if your checklist is one of those things that's a mile long, you need to prioritize everything that's in your checklist. And if everything is an emergency, then it's not truly prioritized. So you need to pick like 3 things, or even, if it's a big thing, pick 1 thing. Mm-hmm. And if you can accomplish that 1 or 3 or whatever, those things for that day, then you've had a successful day. And anything else that you can knock off that checklist is just bonus and will make tomorrow easier.
Okay.
Earlier when I said don't distract yourself,
yep,
I want to say this. Every PSA and RMM sucks. They do. Okay. None of them are perfect. I've tried them all. Trust me. None of them do exactly what any of us want them to do. When you sign up and you get your fancy new shiny account, it is just that. It is shiny and untouched and raw. It's empty. No matter what RMM tool you sign up for, you have to create your own automation and remediation. Many of them are able to do all of the exact same things. It's just going to be slightly different processes and names and things like that. Mm-hmm. You need to figure out, so they all suck. You need to figure out which one sucks the least for you.
Okay.
So if that means you want to use Kaseya or ConnectWise or Synchro, it's okay. Just make sure if you are going to pick something, stick with it and use the crap out of it until you have hit a point where with all of the genius scripting and automation that you've configured in it, it is no longer capable of taking you to that next step, that next level for your success. That is really when you need to decide, do I switch or do I stay? Yeah. Don't switch just because, well, this one doesn't do this, I swear. But it can, it's just, it's not already like built in. Yeah. You have to configure it. You have to write it all out yourself. I think that's one of the biggest distractions, especially small MSPs or emerging MSPs find for themselves?
I certainly remember I worked for an MSP back 7 years ago now, and there was, at the time, there was 4 guys, including myself, in the MSP. And I think we switched tools about 4 times within that 5 years as I was part of that MSP. So I
Yeah.
think definitely right in the smaller MSPs, that's a big thing where you can quite easily lose focus on what's priority in the business.
In regard to how can you get more money from existing clients?
Yes, that's what this is all about for me.
That is what I think that's what everything should be about for MSPs, right? So existing clients, you need to make sure that they're happy and that they don't want to leave, because it's a lot easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one.
Yeah.
We are customer service companies. At the end of the day, that's all we're doing, is providing customer service to all of our clients. We just happen to do IT. So remember that. In order to get more money out of them, you need to show value in what it is you're trying to get them to give you money for.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the break fix customer. Look at their last 12 to 24 months of invoices with you. If on average they're spending, I'm just going to pull out a number, $100 per user per month with you, when you look at what all of their labor has been over the last 12 to 24 months, then they're an excellent candidate for managed services. And that's when you sit down and say, hey, look, you've been consistently spending all of this money with me. Why don't we just make it something that is a recurring flat expense that is more easily budgetable for you? And now you can get them on the hook for, a 36-month contract, and know that now, instead of having break fix, I think they'll call me again next month. Now, for the next 36 months, I have X number of dollars coming in.
Yeah, current revenue.
Now, when I say $100 per user, I'm not saying that this is like the magic number, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I just had a conversation with some MSPs earlier today. For some of them, they're charging $200, $225 a user. Others are happy charging $100 to $150. It all depends.
It's a sliding scale, isn't it?
It is, and it really depends on what you're including in your stack, and that's this mythical thing that everybody's looking for, the perfect stack, right? The guys that I see charging in the $200 range are using ConnectWise Manage, ConnectWise Automate, Sophos, everything, Cisco Umbrella, Duo for two-factor authentication,
okay,
and they are literally like scripting and remediating everything within their RMM tool. And they've worked with companies like Comprehensive MSP that, for several $1,000s, they'll go into your RMM, into your ConnectWise Automate, or LabTech, as some of you still want to call it, and completely streamline how the thing works. And they're paying other consultants to go into the ConnectWise Manage and completely streamline how that thing works.
Yeah.
If you can pay somebody else a portion of your revenue to streamline what you're able to do, your profitability should go up in the long run. And I've learned
why
that.
Is that just because you become more efficient using the tools?
Absolutely. Let's be honest, if you signed up for, and let's just pick a different tool now. If you signed up for Datto RMM tomorrow, you're not an expert in that tool. Find somebody that is, pay them to do like a 3-month project with you, or a 6-month or whatever, where they go into Datto RMM and completely customize that tool. They add all of these scripts that they believe you will need, and configure everything to automatically remediate. They configure your different MSP packages to automatically deploy and whatever from the tool. And then they would work with you between Datto RMM and your ticketing system to figure out, okay, what keeps happening in Datto RMM that we can automate. So are we getting tickets enough with some weird event ID for a SQL server that we can fix using PowerShell? Does it make sense for us to remediate that automatically by custom writing a PowerShell script and having Datto RMM just do it? Datto RMM or whatever. I'm just, and I just picked one, okay?
Yeah.
They don't get money, so.
You're agnostic. Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
I'm a Kaseya user, okay? I've used all of them at least twice. It really doesn't matter what one you use. But what you should be doing is, with these tools, the more you automate, the more devices per technician you'll be able to operate with. So, if you're not doing any automation or remediation with your RMM tool, maybe you can only handle 50 to 100 devices per tech. I've seen companies operate with 500, 1,000 devices per technician. Wow. Because they have their RMM so finely tuned that it is acting as if you had 10 extra employees. And it's doing all that work for you.
I think all of us would be in a position, love to be in a position like that. 1,000 users per employee, per engineer. Wow. Okay, next question, Steve. What's the biggest thing you see in the MSP space that you think MSP webinars can help with?
Everyone always has questions about how everyone else is operating.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I have a video chat room. I have a forum. I have all these different ways for members to communicate with each other and ask questions and figure out, what's in your stack. What are you charging per user? What is the best RMM tool out there? These are questions that everyone asks every day, and there's 8,000 opinions on the right way to do things. But I give members a way to have conversations with each other about how they operate. And the great thing is, because MSP Webinars is an international company, mm-hmm. they don't really feel too worried about, like, okay, if I share this information, do I have 30 other MSPs within 2 hours of me that are trying to steal all my clients now?
I guess that's the beauty of it. We're all kind of local, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. So then the next thing that I see all of us helping each other with is all of us, for those people that are joining that Zoom room, day in, day out, we build kind of a bond. Whether you want to consider each other family or you consider each other friends or whatever, we build a bond. And the greatest thing about that bond is I see guys getting into the Zoom room at 9, 10 o'clock at night and showing off their End Central, like literally logging into their own End Central with all of their clients and endpoints and everything on display, and showing another guy, hey, here's how I've got this set up, and basically going through like a sales demo with another member, mm-hmm. without actually having to deal with sales from
you can get all the practical information that once that product's in the ground and running, put the information to use it properly and how it should be set up. Okay.
And we give each other sales demos all the time. I was just looking through a tool called Automox, and there were a few of us that are testing it out. There's one guy that's been using it for a while, and I was sharing my screen and saying, okay, here's what Automox has done. Mm-hmm. And it's this patching tool that will patch Windows, Mac, and Linux, and it patches them very well because that's all it does. I don't know any RMM tool that does patching really well.
Okay.
Especially with Windows 10 these days. So after looking at Automox, now we're almost giving each other like this like technical demo of the product. And now we went from one guy who used it, I heard about it, and I signed up for a trial, and then like 4 other guys signed up for trials because one guy mentioned it. So it's really interesting to see what products other people are using that nobody's ever heard of, and see, can this actually be helpful for my business?
Okay.
Can this actually help me make more money, or do something more efficiently to where I'm working less?
Okay, that definitely explains the value then in MSP webinars. I guess my next question would be, when you first started the Zoom chat, what gave you the idea of actually getting vendors into the room as well, and going over a product with them? Is that just a revenue stream for yourself, or what was the idea behind that?
I don't take money from vendors to come in and do a webinar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a revenue stream for me. I'll take money from MSPs to become a member, but I'm not charging vendors to come on and do a webinar. In fact, I do charge them. I charge them a deal. They have to offer a deal to my members.
I see. Okay.
So what got me interested in bringing them in?
Yeah, because you obviously you had that Zoom room with a lot of people in it. Do you remember
So that, back when I was in that Facebook group, there were a couple times where vendors would be like, "Hey, you should check out XYZ product," and I'd say, "Hey, why don't you pop in this Zoom room? There's a few of us that are interested. Can you just give us a quick little demo?" And so we did that a few times, and then like I said in my story, where I slowly shifted to actually building out webinars and scheduling things. What better way to educate the MSP channel about products than to bring the vendors in and show off their products?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of the best things I could possibly do, because I'm not sharing my list. So if you register for one of my webinars, yeah, you'll go on my newsletter list. I mean, that would be foolish for me to not do that, right? But I do not give out the list of who signs up to anybody else, whether they're the presenter, whether they offer me something. I won't do it. And I think that is one of the greatest things, because people can come in and they can ask real questions that they would ask the sales team. What's this cost? What happens if it goes down? What happens if this? What happens if that?
Yep.
And the vendors are doing a really great job at answering all these questions.
Okay, they're used as well.
So, and I think it's helping everyone. The MSPs know that if they come, they check it out, and maybe they're not interested, nobody will ever bug them again from that company. But maybe they are interested. Well, now, because they went to that webinar, maybe now they know about a special deal or a special offer that's available to my members, and maybe now they want to reach out to that company and get signed up.
Okay.
And now typically we'll do like a tech demo. So I'll have them walk through exactly how the software works. So, I mean, they already have a good idea of, is this something that would be a viable solution for me?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it sounds like a really good sort of, I guess it sounds as though I like the way it's been put together by yourself. It sounds like it's organically growing. It sounds honest, genuine, and definitely a place that my audience should probably check out. That's all the questions I have, Steve, on my list here. Is there anything that you think that I maybe should have asked or you'd like me to ask?
I can't think of anything, Scott. Yeah. If anybody ever has questions, I'm always happy to chat with people. I've got a pricing guide up on my website, so if anybody's interested in how they should be pricing managed services, feel free to download that. All you have to do is sell your soul to me and give me your email address and let me put you on my newsletter list. But and then I'll even was that?
What is that website address?
It is mspwebinars.com.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I think we're going to end it there then, Steve. You've given us a lot of information today, valuable information. I really like that story that you gave us and how you lost that big client. I think that's definitely one of the takeaways here from today, that sometimes life just gets in the way, and it doesn't matter how good a service you're providing, to a customer.
Sometimes they die.
Yeah, and it just happens to be a funeral home. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, how ironic, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Well, thanks for being on the show today, Steve. Thanks all for joining us on IT Rockstars. I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers, guys. Bye.